Hello, friends. Mike Little here, Executive Director of Your North Dakota Dental Foundation. And today, I'm here with my good friend, Patrick Minear. Patrick, hi.
What up, everybody? Hello. Thanks for having me on today.
Patrick, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for connecting with all of our constituents out there who are interested in what we're going to be sharing because it deals with workforce. Workforce is a big buzzword. You see it in the legislature. You see it. The local chamber groups are talking about it. Schools are talking about it. Dental practices are talking about it. We just see that there's this big need. There's aging baby boomers. There's a shortage right now in the workforce. It seems like everywhere. It seems like people are just like trying to find jobs, especially in North Dakota.
Yeah. If you've paid any attention at all to any of the stuff that the governor's been talking about, legislators are talking about, it's on the news all the time, it's a workforce shortage. And there are so many employers in North Dakota that need qualified workers. They need them now, but what they also need is they need a pipeline for the future. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, if I showed up at the right spot, that's what we're going to talk about today.
That was a great segue, Patrick. You nailed it. Good work.
Giddy up.
Yeah, giddy up.
Giddy up.
So the pipeline for the future, and that is what the North Dakota Dental Foundation is really interested in doing with our Bright Futures in Dentistry program. So we created this program because after serving dentists, we found out that 60% of them plan to hire a dental assistant within the next year. There is a need for dental assistants in North Dakota, and now a need for dental hygienists. And as we look towards strategies about how to fill that need, we have the North Dakota State College of Science, which is down in Wahpeton. They have the only dental hygiene and assisting school in state in North Dakota. Dakota College of Botano just got approval to expand into Minot. We see some of these online programs that aren't CODA accredited, but are workforce ready training. We're seeing all of these things. And within our Bright Futures in Dentistry program, we've been encouraging, one of the tracks is for chairside trained dental assistants. So in North Dakota, you can actually, after you graduate high school, you can start working for a dental practice right away, train on the job. And there's some benefits through Job Service North Dakota, through on-the-job training. And you can start working. And after 3,500 hours, you can challenge what's called the Dental Assisting National Boards, the DANBY exam. And so we help with Dale Foundation prep material, the DANBY exam payments for these chairside trained dental assistants. We were able to help over 15 people with their DANBY exams this last year and over 10 with their Dale Foundation prep materials. That's triple what it had been in the past. And when we see that increasing need and that interest in alternative ways to get into this career, dental assisting is a great option. You think about why would we promote that, or why is that encouraged? As we connect with sophomores in high school, that seems to be an age where we found that a lot of students are making these decisions. There's three things that stick out. There's a fast track to employment. They can start fairly quickly. There's a 100% job placement rate. And North Dakota is number 5 in the top 5 states in the nation for pay. So when we think about those three things, those really stick out as why dental assisting might be a right career option for some people out there. But in addition to this on-the-job training through this solution, we also support dental practices that go out and actually want to recruit in high schools. So if they want to go out and go to job fairs, or they go do maybe a dental day or one of these scrubs camps where they're doing hands-on experiences, we'll help pay for those staff to actually, from a dental practice, to go into that school and make those connections. And there was a pilot through this DANBY organization out in Dickinson High School where they did the first ever high school class in the nation to offer a dental assisting focus.
That's awesome.
And it's so awesome.
Yeah.
And so that pilot program, I was talking with Laura Skarnolis, the CEO of DANBY, and they are excited about potentially branching that out to more schools. So our dental foundation, we're very much interested, workforce is one of our top 3 focuses, and we're very much interested in creating this pipeline, this pathway that gets students that are interested on a pathway to get into a dental career. And so as we're looking at that pathway, as we're building that out, our paths crossed several times. It seems like we've been to meetings with across the state with guidance counselors, high school guidance counselors. We seem to know a lot of the same people.
Yep.
It's been great getting to know you. But so Patrick, tell me more about your company. Tell me about Golden Path Solutions. Tell me about what you're doing, why you formed it, and really, as you're thinking about connecting students, schools, and employers, what makes Golden Path Solutions unique.
Yep. Well, like I said, first of all, thanks for having me on. And it's great to visit with you and with all of the people that are going to be watching this. So Golden Path Solutions is basically a connections company. At the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to be able to help employers get connected with students that have the skills that they're looking for, and ultimately with schools that are helping students kind of through the process of like learning and then figuring out what they want to do after they graduate, what they want to do for their long-term career. And part of why we built Golden Path is because of all those options that you just walked through. Not all students know that. They don't understand all those programs. When I first came up with Golden Path back in maybe 2017, I think is when we started thinking about this as a concept. What we realized is that a lot of students don't understand some of the jobs that are out there that they would be a great fit for, and they also didn't understand how to get there. And employers, at the end of the day, were trying to connect with talent and look for the skills that they need, but they also were finding students that maybe were at the end of their education path where actually they maybe would need to be retrained or need to learn some different things. And so we started thinking, well, how can we help students get connected with employers sooner in the process? How can we help students understand these jobs that would be great fits for them, and ultimately how to get there? What are the education paths that are required? And then how do we even create agreements where an employer might be willing to pay for some or all of a student's tuition in exchange for a workforce agreement, which is exactly what you guys are building with your Bright Futures program.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how Golden Path started. A little bit about where we're at. So right now, Golden Path Solutions, we have a partnership with the North Dakota Career and Technical Education Group. So think of all of those classes that students take in high school around business applications or medical terminology or health careers or shop or mechanics. Those are all done by Career and Technical Education. We have an agreement with them where we've integrated Golden Path Solutions with a tool that's been used in North Dakota for over 15 years called areyoureadynd.gov, which now gives students the ability to learn directly about employers and opportunities that they have, like dental assistant, dental hygienist, how to get there. And employers now have a direct way of sharing information about their company and getting that in front of students across the entire state of North Dakota.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
That's great. So
it's pretty cool.
You just partnered with Are You Ready? And tell me, so that partnership, what has that allowed you to do differently than what you did before?
So a couple things. Apologize, there's a little bit of technical stuff here, but I'll try to keep it light.
Giddy up, let's go.
So one of the biggest things for students is ease of use.
Okay.
Being able to get to something easy and not have it be hard. Otherwise, students, honestly, they'll kind of get frustrated and they'll move on to something else.
That's why Google works.
Yeah, that's why Google works. Yeah, and why some other ones haven't worked, because they're hard to use. And even we get frustrated with that. So one of the biggest things with this integration that we've done with Are You Ready, which, by the way, is done by a company out of California called Zap, XAP. So they again built this tool, and for the longest time there was a sign-in process where a student had to have their own login and their own stuff. So this doesn't sound like a lot, but essentially they made it work with PowerSchool. So now when a student logs into PowerSchool, they're automatically logged into areyoureadynd.gov, and with our integration now it's the same for us. So our application, students are already logged in. Every student in North Dakota has an account. So if an employer is talking to any student, any high school student, 9 through 12, at any school, you know that that student has access to this system that we're talking about, regardless of whether or not their school has officially rolled it out yet broadly, or if students are just doing career exploration on their own, which is a huge, powerful tool for employers, because when you're at a career fair or you're talking to a student, you can tell them, go back to your desk, log in, and you can learn more about my company if you've set up an account. And I think we'll talk about that a little bit later in the interview. So
that's huge, because that goes directly to employers, and you're getting directly in front of these students through a pathway, a tool that they're already using.
Yep. Well, if you think a lot of times about like what an employer's journey is trying to connect with students, some employers have dedicated people whose job is to go to career fairs, and they're on the road a lot and they're driving all over the state. And that's awesome, because at the end of the day, those personal relationships are really important. But not all organizations have people that can spend all that time doing that. Especially when you think about some of your members, that you don't have, dozens or hundreds of employees. You might have, 15 or 20 or even, 10 employees. And they need to be working and doing things. So they don't have the ability to travel or to, go to a lot of different schools. With the system that we've built, an employer can basically create a profile of their company, they can share information about their careers, and then they can choose how broadly to publish that so that students in their region, if they choose to be more local, or literally students across the entire state can learn about that company. That company can talk about what makes them different, what's it like working at my organization versus somebody else's, and also potentially, those sponsorship programs as a recruiting tool that can then also help the student understand, well, where should I go to get the best education for this future job that I think looks great? What does the path look like? What's the investment look like? All that sort of thing. Now employers can get that in front of students super easy, just, honestly from their desktop.
That's great.
It's pretty great. When we first built this, we actually were working with some of the larger organizations that had multiple people across the entire state. But what we found is that there are also organizations that are very local and they need to have very local options. In fact, I think one of the first companies that we talked to about this was out of Dickinson. I think it was Robinson Family Dental. And they were talking about, we don't need this big bang approach to get in front of students across the state. We just need to connect with students that are in our area. That actually took us down a whole different path of development and design and even pricing. And now what we've launched at the end of August of 2022 accommodates that. So large companies can do very big things. Smaller companies can stay more local. And one thing that I want to stress about this work that we've done with career and technical education is this concept of work-based learning.
Okay.
Work-based learning is essentially this desire to get every student a real-world experience before they graduate high school with an actual company. If you think a lot of students, they sit in class and they learn about certain things, but a lot of students will say, I want a real-world experience. I want to know if this is right for me.
Yeah.
So
and
part of this
are
option,
looking for that
yeah,
too. I mean,
that's... So part of this option is how do we essentially help employers offer those experiences to students, get the students out of the school, get them into the real world environment and see if this is a career that they like. Those are all things that we're trying to build with this platform that hopefully will lead students down a path to have a career in dentistry or as an assistant or a hygienist or whatever.
Yeah, because a student would go into a dental practice, spend any amount of time there, and they would come out and say, yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah. So, well, and the other thing too, you talked a little bit about, some of the different, the things that students care about, like salary and, North Dakota and like wages and things like that. But think about how the environment of a dental clinic is different from other environments where you might be doing similar work.
Yeah.
So some students might like kind of the unpredictability of maybe a hospital environment where you're never quite sure what's coming. And they love working with patients and customers. But there might be other students that like a more scheduled, predictable day. I want to know what's coming. In some cases, the dental industry is perfect for that because you can be interacting with customers. You can be like getting to know people. It's still medical. It's like got all that, but it's a more predictable environment. We try to help students understand those characteristics of jobs so they can, again, make better decisions about what they want to do when they graduate.
I'm going to quote you on that. That's great. Well, so Patrick, as you've built out this tool and you have this amazing company that really has found the way to connect with students where they are, the way to connect employers with those students with real-time job opportunities, getting them on the job training or on the job, these experiences on the job. It sounds like you've really found the pain points in connecting employers with students. And as we were chatting, I know one of our board members, Dr. Cami Dornfeld, has partnered with you. Mm-hmm. And so I'm curious to know more about, so as you connected with her and you went through that, what was that process like? So as somebody that's watching this and is saying, we need to use Golden Path Solutions to help us with our recruiting strategy, what does that process look like for somebody coming on board?
Yep. So Cami is a great example of how we've gotten to know people through some of our work with schools. So Williston High School invited us to a career fair. And when we went to the career fair, what we did is we talked to employers before the career fair about getting them set up in our application. The hope was that, again, if you have your company set up and you've got a profile and information about your organization is there, when you talk to a student at the career fair, after they leave and go back to their desk, they can log in and learn more and potentially apply for work-based learning opportunities. So we got to know Cami at the career fair. And so when Cami has set up her company Encompass, basically she has a login, and it's very simple. The login process is pretty straightforward, and then she can create information about our company. Let me show you what that looks like here. I'm going to hopefully see if I can get this to work.
Yeah, great job. Oh, that looks awesome.
Look at this.
Yeah, look at that.
I'm a pro already.
It looks great.
Okay. So essentially what will happen is when an employer first logs in and creates an account, you can upload your logo. You can put in information about your headquarters and basically where you're located, your phone number and all that information. And then you provide some information about your company that actually will ultimately be shared with students. So what is an overview of what you do? And usually we recommend that employers make this student friendly. So this isn't like a job description that you'd put on Monster or Indeed. This is something that is unique for students. And not all students are going to have the knowledge that maybe you and I have about different careers. You can put in the number of employees you have. You can put in all this information. And then you put in a primary contact. This is one of the most important things because something that's super simple to do, super easy, is you can basically join what we call our connections database. All you're doing here is you're basically telling schools what things your organization is willing to offer. So are you willing to do career fairs? Are you willing to do field trips? Are you willing to do an informational interview? There's about 14 different options here. And then you choose what schools you want to share that with. So like I said, some organizations might be hyper local. So I only want to share my information with maybe the Williston High School and then schools within a 12-mile radius. Other employers might want to share information across the entire state. So Sincere Smiles has decided to share their contact information with the schools that you can see listed here.
Oh, yeah.
That means that these school professionals, so if a career advisor or a teacher or a counselor logs in and had a student that was interested in learning more about dentistry, they would see Cammie's organization, they would see what she's willing to offer, and they'd be able to call her and basically say, I've got a student here that wants to learn more. Would you be willing to talk to her?
That's great.
Talk to the student. The other thing that can be done is, I'm just going to show you real quick here, work-based learning opportunities. These are things, again, where a student's going to have a real-world experience with your company. So I've just set one up here as a draft. We're working with Cammie on getting some of these offered for students in Williston. But essentially what would happen is you would choose the type of work-based learning. There's about 9 different types, and we can actually help employers understand what's best for them. Some are on site at the employer location. Some can even be done with the school at the school location. Cool. You can share information about pictures. You can share logos. You can do all sorts of things. Describe an overview of what that opportunity looks like and the schedule. And then what are the skills that you need? Basically, what are the careers that align to this role? We have a matching process in the system where a student puts a lot of information in about their experiences, and we can use that to match them to opportunities. And then you can also choose where you want to share this opportunity. Like, so what schools, kind of like what I just showed you. Cool. When you hit publish, that's now available to students. Students will be able to apply. They can review them. School professionals can see these opportunities. The super cool thing is after the opportunity is done, the employer can basically evaluate the student. Did they show up? Did they ask good questions? Were they coachable? The student can even provide feedback. Did I get out of it what I wanted? Is this something that I'm interested in? Depending on how that goes, the student can get credit towards graduation.
Wow.
Work-based learning credit.
Yep.
And actually the school in some cases can even get funding for some of their CTE programs if a certain number of students have work-based learning. So it's kind of like everybody wins.
Yes.
But the cool thing is if that experience plays out well and that student is the right fit, now that clinic has a student that has a relationship with them, has gotten to know some people there, and that could turn into long-term workforce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
You're starting young. You're starting early. You're getting students that are interested right away. That's amazing.
Yep.
I love that solution, and it's so intuitive. It's a user-friendly platform, and I really like what you said about making sure the information you're entering is relevant and easily understood by students.
Yep.
Because I think that's huge. Because if they have to spend too much time trying to navigate through it or understand it, they'll go on to something else.
Yeah, we actually have another offering. They're called career profiles. And we actually did this with another clinic in Watford City, Legendary Smiles. They're awesome. And so we actually profiled out a dental hygienist and what they do. So to do these profiles, we actually interview people that are in the role. which is super fun for us. I mean, can you imagine we get to sit down with somebody and basically ask them about their job for an hour? I've actually learned about jobs that I'm like, gosh, I wish I had known about that. Maybe I would have done a different path.
Could have changed.
But yeah, so we'll talk like with a hygienist and basically learn, what does a day in the life look like? What are the things that you did when you were young that you think kind of indicated that this would be a good fit for you? And it could be everything from, I liked basic biology classes, but I didn't like the advanced stuff, or I really love working with people. And I just love seeing them smile and be happy. Those types of experiences are super important to help a student understand if this is a fit for them. And then we can help them with education paths, with programs like yours, all those different options that you just described. Some of those might be perfect for a student that doesn't want to go down the traditional 2-year degree and actually wants to start working right away. For that student that does want to go and get some education, there are options for that. How do we just help them understand all the great opportunities available to them to get into this industry?
That's amazing. Yeah. So it sounds like you've figured it out. So Golden Path Solutions connecting students, schools, and employers in North Dakota. And I'm excited because everything you described really meets, it addresses those pain points that everybody, students, schools, employers that they're feeling.
I do want to say, like, we have definitely built a platform to do this. We learned from so many people that were doing this, but maybe on a smaller scale. So that, that great relationship between, I'll just give a shout out, Haley Janot in Williston and Cami, they know each other. And so they will invite each other and have students connected. But how do we help those more rural communities? Or how do we help a student here in Fargo that wants to explore an opportunity that might be a great fit for somebody out in the western side of the state? How do we help those folks connect? So, I sometimes like to think that we took some of the really good work that was happening kind of on the ground, and we just kind of made it a little more scalable with a platform that every school has access to, so that an employer here or wherever can basically put their information in and then share it with students across the state in a simple, super fast, easy way.
Yeah, very easy, the user interface is excellent. And I think not only just simple, but it eliminates the confusion, the ambiguity around how to navigate this. It really, especially for maybe a student who's wanting those experiences, where to go.
Yep. Our perfect world is we build a career profile and there's a class. Maybe it's a health careers class, and they bring up the profile and they go through it and like, well, what's it like to work at this particular clinic? Let's understand it a little bit more. Yeah. That piques a student's interest. That student then goes to the teacher after class and basically says, I'd like to know more about them. Could you connect me? They go into the connections database, have a phone number. That kind of goes well. And that employer says, well, we've got an internship that we're offering. Would you be interested? And the student says, yep. And then pretty soon they're going to school. Their tuition is being, covered through your program or through the employer. And now there's like a future employee that's just going to be super happy. They know who they're going to work for. It's a great fit culturally. That's the golden path, so to speak.
There it is. That's the golden path.
Yeah. How'd you like that? I rounded it out.
You brought it back. I love it. That's great. So Patrick, thank you so much for being on today and just sharing this with everybody watching. I really appreciate your time. It's been amazing to just learn from you and to kind of learn what went into this. And I think it is a great solution. Is there anything else you'd like to mention or anything else you want to share?
A few things, actually. So work-based learning is an initiative, again, that the state of North Dakota is really putting a lot of effort behind and really believes in real-world experiences are going to help drive better outcomes. There's some bills, actually, at the state legislature right now where CT is asking for funding for work-based learning coordinators across the state. And these are people that may use our system, but they're also doing that kind of connection on the ground. So, if you're active with legislature, support those bills. Career and Technical Education is a group where I feel every student should have some experience because those are the classes getting students ready for their future career, no matter what it is, manufacturing, technology, medical, health careers, whatever. The second thing is, if you want to know how to sign up, you can go to goldenpath.net. And there will be a link to a login page, and then just log in as an employer. The login process is super simple. Within 3 or 4 minutes, you'll be connected to the connections database. And the third thing and last thing that I want to say is I want to give you all a shout out. the work that you all do, both your organization and the Dakota Medical Foundation with Giving Hearts Day, is phenomenal. It's amazing. It's so fun to see the entire community come together and rally behind one thing. So kudos to you for having me, but kudos to you for just what you do. It's fantastic.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being a Giving Hearts Day match sponsor this year. We're really grateful. It means a lot, and it's going to do a lot for helping to ensure that students are able to find jobs in dentistry in North Dakota and thrive.
It's all good. I love that about North Dakota. We're all working together to solve problems and trying to improve our state and improve everybody's lives. So thanks again for what you do, and thanks for having me. This has been super fun.
Awesome. Likewise. Well, don't be a stranger. There you have it, folks. Patrick Minear with Golden Path Solutions. Make sure to go to goldenpath.net to learn more information, or we'll put a link on nddental.org, which is our North Dakota Dental Foundation website. Thank you so much for listening today. Take care, everyone.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Thank you. And thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Awesome.